Hey, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast. Mark Schlereth alongside Mike Evans. Week 5 tonight. It gets in the books, but a great Week 5 in the National Football League. And, oh, by the way, the Stinkin Truth Podcast, thank you so much for making us a part of your day. We're down to one camera today. We've got a lot of people off, people sick, people not around. So this is us flying by the seat of our pants, getting it done for you people out there.
Hey, way I look at it, you're welcome. You get 2 for the price of 1 throughout the entire podcast. Okay?
Yeah, right,
so
right.
You're welcome, America. So I think maybe the theme, Stink, of Sunday was signature wins, statement wins, maybe we're arriving type wins. First of all, the Broncos going into Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, defending champs, 4-0, 20-1 in their last 21. Jalen Hurts virtually unbeatable at home. Up 17-3 going into the fourth quarter. How's this for a stat? The Broncos had been 1-112 in their franchise history when trailing by 14 or more points going into the fourth quarter of a game on the road. They pull off the comeback. What does it say about the Broncos?
That's a big-time victory. There's no question. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I was part of the other one. The other one. But then I thought, how silly. We were never down by 14 points when I played here.
Dispensing justice.
That's crazy, Todd.
Yeah.
No, I think one of the big things, Mike, is in this league, you're always going to have to respond to adversity. And I think one of the big things for me is when things aren't going well, and they weren't for 3 quarters offensively, especially. And you look at Bo Nix, even in the first half, did not play very well. And then he gets to that fourth quarter, and I think he goes 9 of 10 or 9 of 10 and 100+ yards and drives them to a couple of scores there in the fourth quarter. Big time performance by the Broncos quarterback. Also having that 2-point conversion. You're down 16-17 after you score. You can kick the extra point, make it 17-17. And Sean Payton comes out and says, man, I had a play I really liked. And I think one thing that's really cool about just coaching in general. So you're always looking for always or nevers. So as a coach, they're always in this or they're never in this. And so Sean had a couple of things he said that he really, really liked. And so formationally, you get into a formation and you get into a matchup. And so it comes down to, if we get into this 100% of the time, they show this. So you're looking for that always or that never. And he called the play. They got the always. They got the matchup on the third corner with our wide receiver, Troy Franklin, and it was a 2-point conversion like stealing. It was easy. So a big-time coaching performance and a big-time playing performance. And I will say this, it is so hard week in and week out to respond to adversity. And I've had several coaches over the course of the last couple of weeks tell me, like point blank, I did not like how our team responded last week to the adversity. I did not like how our team kind of folded in the tough times. And the Broncos showed something special, being able to come back from that 14-point deficit, 17-3, and win that football game.
So big picture it. What does this mean? How are we supposed to look at the Broncos now? Because going into this season, they were a nice story last year, surprise team. They win 10 games. They go to the playoffs. They get blown out by Buffalo. They come back this year kind of with the idea that, okay, are they going to be able to make the next step forward? Are they still kind of living in that wild card world? Or is this the kind of win that says, hey, not only are they a legitimate threat to win the AFC West, but they could be a real serious AFC playoff threat?
Well, they got in the playoffs last year as a wild card team, right? I mean, they eked into the playoffs as a wild card team, sitting at 10-7. Then they go on the road to Buffalo and absolutely get punched in the mouth. And it wasn't close, right? And you looked at it like, hey, great season. You overcame with a rookie quarterback all these things that you overcame. It was awesome, but you're still not quite ready for prime time, right? You still got to, you got to the big boy on the block and they punched you in the teeth, and the rest is history. So now you go on the road against Philadelphia, undefeated, 20-1 in their last 21 games. They've been a juggernaut, even though they haven't played as well this season, especially offensively, but you're down by 14. And to be able to respond to that is big time. But I think what it says about the Broncos, man, is we are ready to take that next step. We are ready to take that, create that next level. And then from a coaching standpoint, Mike, I think this was big for me. Like, you get into a situation, you're playing Vic Fangio, and if you talk to anybody in the league right now, the Vic Fangio effect, the shell defense, we've got, we're playing quarters, and we're going to keep a umbrella or a tent over the, over the offense, and you're going to have to be very patient to beat us. And you look at that second half, and you look at what the Broncos did, man. They kept running the ball. If you're going to keep two high safeties back, we're going to keep running the ball because we've got favorable numbers. And it all comes down to those numbers. We've got a good numbers matchup. Let's go out there and keep running the ball, set up our play action, and do all those things. So from a coaching staff perspective, I thought the coaching staff did an excellent job. And I'm going to tell you right now, I thought the Broncos coaching staff whooped the ass of the Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff. That was a masterclass. And Nick Sirianni and his crew and even Vic Fangio got outcoached, especially in that second half.
Well, all right, let's talk about this loss now then from the Philadelphia standpoint, because there was already a lot of complaining about their offense even when they were 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
But after this game, in which Saquon Barkley only ran the ball 6 times, once in the second half,
right.
I get if you're down 17-3, oh, well, we had to, scrap the running game. We had to throw the ball, but you're up 17-13 or 17-3 and you only run Saquon Barkley.
You just said it. You just said it. I get if you're down, but what did the Broncos not do? They kept running the ball.
Yep.
They kept the balance in their offense so they could set up the play action stuff, so they could set up some hopefully explosive plays. They kept doing it. Whereas the Philadelphia Eagles got a lead and they gave Saquon Barkley, arguably their best offensive player, one attempt. He averaged 5 yards an attempt.
Mm-hmm.
He had one 17-yard run early. He had 6 carries for 30 yards, and you gave it to him once in the second half. That's malfeasance of coaching. And part of it is, listen, man, we've had this conversation, right? This A.J. Brown conversation.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
This A.J. Brown, 1 week I got 109 yards receiving and I had 8 receptions or whatever it was. And the next week I only have 2 receptions for 9 yards. And so I'm going to send cryptic biblical scripture tweets about, walk away and don't, shrug your shoulders and turn away from your people. And so I'm going to get passive aggressive and I'm going to do all this stuff. And it just leads me to believe that you're trying to appease a player. You're trying to make a player feel better, right? Okay, let's try to feed him the ball. Let's try to get opportunities for A.J. Brown so we don't have to listen to a bitch and piss and moan like a child anymore. How else do you explain it? How else do you explain a coaching staff that won a Super Bowl? They gave Saquon Barkley in the Super Bowl like 20 some odd carries, averaging just, I think, under 3 yards a carry, and still found a way to get him 24, 25, whatever it was, carries, that all of a sudden you've got a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and you give your guy in the second half 1 carry. Alls I can think of is you've heard A.J. Brown bitch, you've heard him piss, you've heard him moan, and oh, by the way, the guy that was tearing him up was Devontae Smith.
Right.
So now you're on the sideline going, oh, no, it's unbalanced, and we're going to have to listen to this, and we're going to have to hear him, and he's going to send a cryptic tweet out, or he's going to pull his book out on the sideline and read and cause another controversy that we're going to have to answer. This is why. This is why. Okay, let me get it. This is why it is so hard to win back-to-back championships, because all of a sudden you get selfish players that are worried about my stats in my production? And how am I going to get another contract if I don't have enough production? And how am I? And you stop worrying about winning championships and you start worrying about what my numbers look like. And man, I mean, if you're in Philadelphia and you can sit there and you can make excuses about the officiating wasn't fair and blah blah, all the garbage that you're going to make excuses about. You said it today on our radio show. Cry Eagles cry, like whatever. Like it didn't come down to you were 2 for 11 or something on third downs. It comes down to those things. But the bottom line is, man, if you're feeding a player. Seriously, if you're feeding a player because you don't want to listen to that player, bitch, then you're about ready. You're about ready to lose your ironclad grip on the rest of the NFL.
So big statement there, win for the Broncos. How about what the Patriots accomplished in Buffalo? Grinding out and finding a way to come away with a win over the Buffalo Bills. What did we learn about the Patriots? What did we learn about Drake May? What did we learn about Mike Vrabel?
Yeah, I did a Patriot game
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, and I said on the open of the Patriot game, self-inflicted wounds. And I said, hey, man, first 3 games, 35 missed tackles. Game 3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 5 turnovers, 4 lost turnovers, 4 an interception and 3 fumbles lost. It just was like penalties. They're one of the top penalized teams in the National Football League. So there's all these things that you looked at. And I said, if you clean those things up, just clean those things up, this is a playoff team. I don't know that they win the AFC East, but I do believe it's a playoff team. And they showed it. Because one thing I know about Mike Vrabel, okay, they're going to control the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And if you control the line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively in the National Football League, you win. And I will say this. You can say whatever you want about Josh McDaniels. Say whatever you want about him as a head coach. And when he had that year off, 2024, took a year off, he went to Ohio State, was part of their practices and camps. He went to the Kansas City Chiefs, spent time with the Kansas City Chiefs in training camp. He spent time with the Buffalo Bills in training camp. He spent time with the Houston Texans in training camp. He said he came away from training camp, and I quote, 78 pages of notes on how to do things, how to set up practices, how to do these things. Say whatever you want. That dude is an exceptional offensive coordinator, and he does a phenomenal job with quarterbacks and young quarterbacks. And it's funny, we're in the middle of this meeting, right? And he's like, hey, listen, Drake May's got a real capacity for knowledge. He really wants to know stuff. He's really smart. He's really fast with things. And I looked at the producer at the time and I go, hey, just make a note of this. And I just turned away from Josh. I go, just make a note of this. Josh just said that Drake May was way ahead of Brady at the same point.
Mark.
And Josh was like, I did not say that. I didn't. Like, no, that's what I heard. That's what I heard. But in all seriousness, he was just like, man, Drake May.
God, you could be such a dick.
I know. He's like, Drake May is really smart. And it's really about how fast can we process? How fast can we recognize? And that's what he's getting better and better and better at. He is fast. He's elusive. He can run it. But ultimately, the biggest thing about Drake May is he'll beat you from the pocket. He can make plays outside of the pocket, but he can beat you from the pocket. And my only criticism of Drake May, from the 3 games that I had studied going into that game, was he's taking too many sacks. And he cleaned that up the other day. And I tell you what, man, this Patriots team, watch out. They got Gonzalez back. Gonzo's one of the best cover corners in football. They'll control the line of scrimmage. Their D-line, Milton Williams, is a guy from Philadelphia that I thought we should sign here in Denver. I told you he's the best free agent acquisition you could get at the defensive line. They got him. Barmore is a great play. They'll control the line of scrimmage, man.
So is there any obvious red flags that jump up when you look at Buffalo losing last night? Or was that just an off night?
Yeah, I think defensively, I think if you look at them, I think you can punch them in the mouth a little bit. I think that's part of the deal. You will always take away like, hey man, what did New England do? Well, they controlled the line of scrimmage. They did this. That's how they're going to play. They want to play a tight game that way and come away with a 23-20 victory. And did you see after the game, Vrabel in the tunnel greeting his players coming back?
Yeah.
Like, you say what you want, and Vrabel can be salty. I called him on this program a salty bitch. He can be, and that was complimentary. That's a compliment. It's a term of endearment.
He took it that way.
I'm sure.
But
he can be that way. But I'm telling you what, his players play hard for him.
Yeah,
and he's got those guys prepared.
All right. So, who made more of an impression on you? Denver going into Philadelphia and winning, or the Patriots going into Buffalo and winning?
Probably the Patriots going into Buffalo,
because the division part of it.
The division part of it, the stranglehold Buffalo has had on the division, and New England, ultimately trying to arrive, and they had made so many mistakes early that and again, Stevenson put the ball on the ground again
right away,
early in that game. And so all the things that have bit them that bit them in the ass leading up to that game, they did it again.
Yep.
And their ability to overcome that, I think, was huge. And so that, to me, for the New England Patriots, more of a statement win than probably Denver. And that was a huge statement win for Denver. And I think it's one of the biggest wins they've had in a decade here in Denver. So big time, like regular season win.
All right. So you got these impressive performances and teams that would appear to be ascending. Meanwhile, a team that just seems to be hitting rock bottom, and I don't know if they've hit rock bottom yet. And that would be the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
They're 1-4.
I know.
They just got hammered at home by Houston. At what point, Stink, does this go beyond just simply not having Lamar Jackson and other key guys? It's one thing to lose, but are they losing in a way that says, this isn't cool. This isn't good. There's something a little bit more odious here.
Kind of bubbling it under the surface a little bit. Yeah. I mean, first off, they had like 7 guys injured on the defensive side of the ball. And then, you got Lamar. And I think one of the interesting things about how you construct your team, and I've said this about Baltimore, they get into these games where they want to prove that they're a passing, like, we can go toe-to-toe with Mahomes passing the ball. We can get, we can go toe-to-toe with, Josh Allen throwing the ball. Like, it's almost like they feel, because they run a different style of offense, that they're not getting the adulation that they want or deserve. And then they get into these games and they don't adhere to their identity. And I just think that's a coaching failure. Go with the one that brought you. And, it's really interesting, Mike. I mean, I was just a part of 2 teams over the course of my career that knew what they were. I said this on my broadcast yesterday. In Denver, and I've told you this a million times, we won back-to-back Super Bowls running 6 plays. I mean, every now and again, we would scheme a play in there, right? But we would run, 18-19 handoff, 18-19 pitch, and 18-19 toss. Pitch was strong, toss was weak, right? 18-19 strong, 18-19 weak. We would run, a force, 18-19 force. And then we run 14-15. Same versions. It's all the same play, it's all the same exact blocking schemes and block. What we would do is we would get you in different formations. We would get you in different personnel groupings. with different shifts and different motions, and then we'd run the same exact play. And you think about this, San Francisco does a great job with this. So let's say we're running 18 handoff, coming to the right, sift, meaning somebody from the front side is sifting across the formation. We're running to the right. That sifter is coming from right to left, and he's blocking the end man on the line of scrimmage. So at one moment, we block the end man on the line of scrimmage with that guy. Next moment, the tackle blocks the end man on the line of scrimmage, and we sift through the line of scrimmage and we pick up the will linebacker. Next moment, maybe we block the Mike linebacker with the sifter, whatever it is, okay? So for us, one guy or two guys change responsibilities, right? Two guys change. So now all of a sudden the tackle is the sifter and the tight end is cutting off the backside. Now all of a sudden the tackle stays man-to-man and the tight end cuts off the weak side linebacker. So we do it from a bunch of different personnel groupings and a bunch of different entry point. Like two guys change their responsibility. For the other 9 guys on offense, it's identical. We do the same thing every single time. So for us, it's one play, Mike. One guy adjusting. It's one play. For the defense, we can make it look like 9 different plays. And so, it's the 10,000 hour rule. We've done it 10,000 times. You've defended 100 times. It looks to you like it's, 8 different plays. We're better than you. I guarantee it. And we're going to beat your ass doing it. And Baltimore, who is a big physical football team, gets away from doing what they do best in a moment. It's like temporary insanity.
Right.
We're gonna do something we don't do. And now with all the injuries and Lamar, here's the other thing I don't understand about the NFL. One, many teams lack of institutional concern for who their backup is at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Not only do you have to have somebody who's a really good backup quarterback that you don't have to, but like not only really good, but you don't have to change your offense for.
Yeah.
So if I've got Lamar Jackson as my quarterback, I want somebody that can operate the same offense. Now he's not going to operate it with the athleticism that Lamar operated it with.
Right.
But somebody who can at least operate the same offense. And I don't think Cooper Rush can.
You don't see the similarities between the two of them?
I don't see the athleticism, I don't see the RPO, the zone read stuff. It just doesn't seem the same.
So I get everything you're saying about there are a lot of mitigating reasons, factors why they're 1-4. But to lose the way they're losing, does it speak to something going on? And maybe John Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Maybe his message getting stale. John Harbaugh has been coaching the Ravens since 2008. I mean, that's a lot of time. You had John Madden famously once say that really coaches should only be there in one place for 10 years. And then after that, it gets stale. Now, Harbaugh has been able to avoid doing that, but I wonder if we're getting to a point where, hey, the seat that John Harbaugh's sitting on is a lot hotter than you'd think.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been several different occasions where the seat has been hot, but John Harbaugh is a great coach. And if you got rid of John Harbaugh, and maybe you will, who knows? But I think, he'd have another job in a second. But I will say this. In today's NFL, you cannot win with injuries. If you look at Philadelphia last year, they were one of the healthiest teams in football. Detroit was one of the best teams in football until they weren't, because their whole defense got injured. And the way it works, and especially in today's game, there are a lot of guys you keep on your roster in today's game that can't play NFL football. You keep them on their roster because they're good athletes. You hope to be able to develop them, but they don't cost you anything.
Right.
Because
you need somebody to run down on kickoffs.
Right. Because ultimately you're paying your quarterback a boatload of money. You're paying your rush end a boatload. You're paying your left tackle. You're paying a receiver a ton of money. You're paying 8-10 guys so much money that you got to make it up somewhere. And so then you have to have a bunch of minimum wage guys. When I first came in the league, Mike, like I played for Washington and the Hogs.
Mm-hmm.
Every guy that was a backup for us when I played there on the offensive line started somewhere else for 4 or 5 years. They were legitimate veterans. Do you remember Ray Brown played 20 years in the National Football League?
Yeah.
Was a Pro Bowl player for San Francisco and stuff.
Sure.
Do you know when he took his first snap? Year 6. He was with us year 6 when he took his first snaps for us in Washington. He had been with us for several years and took his first snaps in a game in his 6th year. Now, he came from Arizona. He may have from the Cardinals or Phoenix Card, whatever they were. So he may have taken a snap or two then as a young player, as a rookie, but he was on the bench for 4 or 5 years before he really played a bunch for us and became one of the great players. He's one of the great dudes I've ever played with. Ray Brown is salt of the earth, great dude. But, you had an opportunity to develop guys.
Right.
And bring guys along. And in today's game, a lot of the backup players are basically there because they're helping you manage your salary cap.
Right. So the other big story we wanted to get to today, I don't know how this continues to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Happened in the Arizona game.
Yeah.
Cardinals are in complete control. Looks like they're getting ready to put it away with a long touchdown run by Amari DiMercado.
Yeah.
And he drops the ball.
Right.
Just as he's crossing the goal line. We saw Jonathan Taylor do it last year. We saw another member of the Colts do it last week. How? You're an NFL player. Can somebody explain to me how this happens? I mean,
dude,
this is just the dumbest thing.
I don't.
And it cost them a football game.
It did.
May have cost them a season. May cost Jonathan Gannon his job. May cost Kyler Murray the end. I mean, there's a lot of potential ramifications to this.
It is, again, it's the ultimate selfishness and stupidity. And I know, because I've talked to Jonathan Gannon about it. I know about what he preaches with ball security and how he preaches we don't reach out. He always preaches this, like, we don't dive for the end zone. We don't reach the ball out because of exactly that. So he's got rules about the only time you're allowed to reach the ball out to try to score is it's last play of the game, and you're down there and you're just you're like, that's it. Otherwise, man, we possess the ball. We get the ball. Okay, it's on the 2-yard line now. 1st and goal from the 2, whatever.
Right.
But he preaches all these things. And then you make these mistakes in a game. You're going in for a score to make it 28-6, DiMercado. And that's what you do. And then the interception that you get at the end of the game, and then you turn that ball over and you kick it in the end zone. And I mean, it is unbelievable how you screwed that thing up. And most importantly, Mike, head-to-head, you and I, that got me from 3-0 to 2-1 in our moneymaker picks.
Always comes down to the moneymaker picks, right?
Yeah.
You would have been 3-0. Hey, I'm sure a lot of people had parlays, teasers, crushed by that
Did you have
result.
Did you have Arizona in our eliminator pick?
I did.
You did?
Not in the eliminator pick, but I did have them
did
some other picks. Crusher.
Absolutely.
I guess I just don't understand it, because you would think the first time it happened, like, was with a high profile back like Jonathan Taylor last year, right?
Yeah.
That would put every running back on notice.
You would think.
But nope, still happened a couple times. And by the way, what's the point of just what's cool about just getting into the end zone and dropping the ball? Why is that a status thing of celebrating for running backs?
I don't.
What's the cool thing about?
It's like, no big deal.
No big deal.
I guess you know what? I score all the time. No big deal.
You take the ball.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
I tell you, it's interesting because, in today's game, you'd like to punish a guy, right? maybe cut a guy, and they've had injuries at the running back position. Obviously, James Conner is gone and all that kind of stuff. But man, I just remember Mike Shanahan cutting in the season, cutting Michael Dean Perry, who was
making effort.
Who was our team captain. He was one of our team captains.
Yeah, it was late. Getting off the field?
Late getting off the field cost us. It gave. I think it gave. Maybe it was Jacksonville. Gave them a first down. Ended up losing a game, not the playoff game, but we ended up whatever it was. Maybe it was. I don't know who it was now off the top of my head, but I just remember, like, all of a sudden you're like Michael Dean Perry could play,
right?
All of a sudden you're like, we just cut our team captain, and then Shanahan, and this is part of what I always talk about ownership, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about how you got to have the structure of your organization correct.
Yep.
So we come in there like on a Wednesday for our team meeting, and he cut Michael Dean Perry, our team captain, on Tuesday or whatever. And we sit down. He goes, "Hey, I just want to show you guys." And he puts on. It just wasn't that play.
Right.
There was 3 or 4 other plays.
Symptomatic.
That just was a lack of effort for whatever. I don't know why. I don't know what happened in that particular, instance. But then this is Mike Shanahan, and it's like, let this be a message to you. This team is more important than you, and if you're not going to give great effort, your ass is getting cut.
Yeah,
I don't care who you are, and there's a lot of guys, a lot of coaches in this league that would love to be able to do that. But their ownership will say, nope, we can't do that. Nope, you can't. No, I can't.
Hey, you were talking about Vrabel. Vrabel's as old school as they get. How many chances does he keep giving Ramondre Stevenson?
Yeah, well,
he keeps putting him back out there.
Right, because Ramondre Stevenson, he's giving effort. He is doing it the right way. But remember, Jabril Peppers was starting for Mike Vrabel in training camp, and then something happened. Yeah. We don't know what it was. And Mike Vrabel said, see you around sometime. Good luck. I hope it works out for you.
All right. Some intriguing performances this weekend.
No question about it. And I'm telling you what, some big time, like you said, with the Broncos, with the Patriots, some big time statement wins for some teams that were looking for big time statement wins. Hey, for everybody involved in the Stinkin' Truth podcast, thank you so much for making us a part of your day. For Mike, I am Mark. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like it. We appreciate you guys. We'll be back with the leftovers from the game that I did this weekend, and that was Carolina and Miami. A lot of interesting stuff going on. We'll do that as well. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day.